If you ask the average person, hey, do you have any advice with girls? Most people are going to straight lace say to you, confidence is key. Some derivative of that. And this is pretty fucking unhelpful advice. And for the most part, it's kind of stupid because you can't get confidence without success. Whether it's with girls, with basketball, with trading stocks. Well, I mean, it's gambling 99% of the time, but whatever. Anything that takes skill, right? Where someone has demonstrated consistent, reproducible results. Then you get confidence because you have a skill, right? I know how to do this. So you've been with a certain amount of girls, a certain quality of girls, you'll have confidence, right? But then you're stuck in a paradox where it's like, okay, it's kind of like how some people feel about getting rich. It's like, well, it's easy to get rich once you have a certain starting capital, right? You can invest X amount and then you can turn it into this, right? It's easy to get rich when you already have money. You need money to make money. But how am I going to get that initial money, right? So how am I going to get that initial success with dating, right? How am I going to get out of that initial inertia of like, I'm a fucking loser, girls don't like me. How am I going to get confidence without any success? Well, that's where the advice really falls apart because you're basically saying sort of like, get good with girls by being good with girls, right? It seems like circular advice, but that's not actually how it works, right? You get good with girls by practicing certain behaviors and developing certain traits and having certain mindsets that will make you more successful in dating. Some of it is very contextual to each situation and each girl, and some of it is general principles, right? Like dribbling, right? In basketball or in soccer. Like, this is a skill that if you get good at, your control of the ball is going to then lead to other things that are going to happen, right? People aren't going to be able to steal it from you. You're going to be able to take it further down the court or the pitch. You're going to be able to pass it to someone. So like that one skill is going to lead to a lot of other different skills, right? Dating is the same, right? Every girl and every situation is going to be different. But if you practice the skill of conversation, for instance, right? Like, I'm pretty good at reading when someone doesn't want to talk about a certain subject, right? Or I can tell when someone's interested, right? Can you read someone's fucking face and body language and tell that they're interested in this conversation? Or can you recognize when they're not, right? They're a little bit distracted. They're giving you half-committed answers, one-word answers. They're not giving you strong eye contact. Okay, they're not interested. So this skill of observation plus you know how to ask good questions. And good questions, the skill of conversation comes from your ability to take a general topic and then break it down into individual little pieces and then, watch their reactions and see how they respond to that. And then ask further questions if they're interested in this topic. And I guess if you're interested too, right? And then on top of that, you have, let's say, the skill of charisma. So charisma is your ability to make things interesting, right? Because you can be good at conversation, but you might talk like this. Oh, well, that's a very interesting fact. Well, how did you get started? Okay, well, like you're talking like a fucking robot. But charisma is like, oh man, that's so cool. Oh wow, you've been in this field for a long time. You must really like it. Like, how did you get started in it? Did you study for it? No, actually. Oh wow, blah, 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 blah. And you are making the conversation fun via your vocal tonality, your expressions, right? You're charismatic. So charisma, conversation. Well, if you take those two skills, right, and you consistently approach girls with those skills and continue to sharpen those skills, well, hey, there's a pretty fucking good chance that unless you have fucking elephantitis, you're going to probably attract some women. And even if you do have elephantitis, bro, I remember I was in, where was I? I was in Denmark. Yeah, I was in Copenhagen, and I was going to get on a train, And I saw this little like dude, clearly with some physical ailments, in a wheelchair, being strolled around by this pretty attractive woman. And I kind of overheard their conversation a bit. And the guy was really well spoken. And he kind of had this, he had a very confident air about him, right? So physically, his stature was like, you know, he's clearly disabled, but he had a very charismatic way of speaking and seemed very, very, well, he seemed confident, right? So we're going to get to that when it does become useful, right? He came off confident, right? Maybe confident in his intellect or confident in his sense of humor and his charisma, you know, or he's confident because he's dating this girl. So this success has given him some confidence. Well, whatever it was, he clearly had something going on because this girl was clearly dating him, right? So this guy, you know, I'm not insulting him, but like he's the opposite of, you know, a Chad. He's you know, not tall, not buff, not like literally the opposite of that. And clearly, you know, this girl cares about him and likes him a lot. Right? You could see it in the way that they were interacting. So but he didn't have that confidence out of nowhere. He got that confidence from probably practicing a lot and probably going through some really difficult times. But once you do start to get success, confidence you can treat as like an extra boost, like a nitrous boost on your fucking car, right? You need to have a good car if you want to be able to race other cars. But then, you know, once you're like winning races, then you can start affording the best technology and you can get a fucking supercharged thing, right? But you have to earn your way to, you know, the top of the field. The same with dating and seduction and socializing. You're going to have to learn some basic conversation. You're going to have to learn how to not have a conversation or how to have a conversation without stuttering, right? You're going to learn how to, like I said, read body language, read facial expressions, all these little, this is a skill, this is a skill, blah, blah, blah. And you train those up until you're not a complete fucking bore to talk to. And you're actually someone interesting and a girl is attracted to you based on your non-physical traits. And then, of course, if you have any physical traits, I mean, yeah, these things can be advantages. You know, being 6'5" is going to help you. Being good looking is going to help you. Being, you know, in really good shape or dressing really well. These things are going to help you, right? But some of them you're born with and some of them, you know, like your fashion, you can definitely improve yourself, even if you're not necessarily the best looking in your birthday suit. But if you keep practicing these things, you'll eventually get some success, okay? And if you're not seeing any success, I guarantee you're probably a really weird person. You're either really weird or really boring, right? Or you're a fucking asshole. That's... If you're just struggling at all with girls consistently, I'm going to go ahead and pop your bubble. You're either really boring, really depressing or boring, or yeah. I haven't made a video in like a month. I'm a little bit tongue twisted. I had yeah, this is kind of funny. I'm probably seeming quite hypocritical and being fucking stuttery and dumb on video. And then I'm telling you, you know, you have to be charismatic. I had some surgery on my gum, a gum graft, because I had a receding gum. And so that's why I haven't made a video in like a month. But I'm feeling better now. So a little bit out of practice, but you'll bear with me. Yeah, boring, depressing, or you're an asshole. Those are usually the causes for why people don't really like to talk to you. But if you work on that, then girls will probably want to talk to you more. And then if they're willing to talk to you more and willing to go on a date with you, then you can continue to show off the attractive, interesting parts of your personality. And then eventually she'll like you enough. She'll hit that perfect point where she likes you enough to kiss, to suck your dick, to fuck you, to continue fucking you, to date you, to get in a relationship with you, to marry you, whatever. Then, after you start to get that success, you might develop some confidence. Now, there is one type of person who I will kind of grab by the shoulders and shake and be like, hey, you actually do need confidence, right? And I do have some clients like this, and one in particular, he'll probably watch this, and he'll know I'm talking about him right now. Probably I'll send him the video too and be like, hey, watch this. And the thing that we're working on is he actually has had a fair amount of success with women, but he doesn't really see himself as that attractive of a guy. And this tends to happen with men who didn't have a glory days, right? They didn't have their heyday in college where they were the cool guy who was getting a bunch of girls and everyone knew him and blah, 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 or high school, right? And because they kind of missed out on that, because they're late bloomers, if you have success early, like if you were getting laid since you were like 14, 15, you're going to continue to succeed, most likely. Because you've been sort of imprinted from an early age that you're a cool, sexy guy. So your narrative in your own mind is not usually going to be that you're an unattractive guy, because from very early age, you've been seeing the opposite, right? And it sort of just comes naturally. It was still conditioned, but it feels natural. It just feels like, yeah, I'm just a cool guy. And so you're not running around this earth with all of these insecurities that are infecting your behavior and your mind. But because he didn't have this early success, he's kind of struggling with seeing himself as an attractive, sexy guy. And so this particular guy, he has the results that should naturally give him confidence, right? That extra spice on top of the meal. But he doesn't have it. That's the kind of person where then you have to go deep inside and say, look, here are your results. These are clear proofs of you not being uninteresting, ugly, boring, annoying, depressing, right? I mean, you may have a little bit of it, but clearly women find you attractive or you wouldn't be having this much success. And then you have to kind of do some therapy, so to speak, right? That's the only type of person where I think that the advice of, hey, you need some confidence is actually really, really helpful, because they already have, because if you just tell someone who has no, it's like telling someone like who's really good at soccer, hey, be confident in yourself. And then he actually believes in himself and he plays better because he has all these skills, but they're kind of being locked behind a wall because he doesn't believe in himself. So he doesn't execute things with confidence or faith, you can call it, right? Faith in yourself. And so once he finally gets that confidence, he stops being so tense and he kind of relaxes, and just, all of his training and skills that he's built up till now can kind of be let loose. Kind of like in Naruto when Rock Lee is fighting Gaara and he throws off his training weights, and then he can move at super speeds, right? He frees himself. A lack of confidence is the same thing. It's a weight that is making you move slow. It's making you move with uncertainty, sluggishness, etc. But if you have no skills, well, your lack of confidence makes sense because you fucking suck. And that's okay. You're gonna fucking suck for a while until you don't. So if you're having problems with girls, there's a very good chance, I would say a 90 to 95% chance, it's just a fucking skill issue. Outside of that, if you have the results, and the results must be like, either girls are just chronically into you, like you're always getting interest, but you can't close. But maybe some men are kind of delusional. They're like, oh yeah, all these girls like me and da 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 da. But then I'm like, okay, what are your results? They're like, oh well, okay. Like you need, there is a certain point where you just need fucking like, I've been with this many girls. I don't know what that number is. It might be 20, it might be 30, it might be 50. It depends on your level of ambition, right? Because your confidence has to match. Your faith in yourself, I think, can be unlimited. But I do think that your confidence in yourself should match your ability, right? So if you've been with just a bunch of average girls, by your standards, because I have tested this many, many times, where guys show me their 10 out of 10s or what they consider really hot, and I'm like, I think she's like a 7 at max, or vice versa. I'm like, hey, here's my 10. They're like, I mean, she's cute, but So, don't let anyone tell you what's really attractive or not, because you shouldn't give a shit about someone else's opinion. You have to fuck her. But if you've only been with like cute, pretty girls, not like your ideal girls, then, well, it's going to be hard to justify an insane amount of confidence because you just haven't proven it yet. Or if, you've only been with a few girls, I mean, okay, well, I don't know if you can reproduce these results a lot. I'm not saying you have to go out and fuck X amount of girls to prove that to yourself. But what I am saying is that you have to reach a certain threshold that you find is proof enough that you are actually not worthy, right? That's when things get turned into like genuine insecurities. But just, hey, I have a skill. But many people do, tie their self-worth into their skill, which these are technically separate things. But that's very hard to do, to separate your ability to do X and Y in life, provide for yourself, make money, be successful, get girls, be popular, be loved, etc. Like, I mean, it is intrinsically going to be very tied to your self-worth, but it's not technically your actual self-worth. But that's getting into a whole nother subject. Point is, just to recap, you don't really need confidence, you need skills. And but then once you get skills, if you're still lacking confidence, then you need to look back at your results and go, okay, there's undeniable evidence that I am attractive, so I need to start accepting that and working against anything that tells you otherwise, because the proof is in the pussy, right? The proof is in the results that you have gotten. So yeah, stop worrying about confidence until you deserve to. All right, cool. Hector Castillo, love you guys. Shit in the description for you to buy or sign up for coaching if you're interested in one-on-one coaching with me. All right, I'll see you soon. Ciao.